Golden Knights having great success so far this year. Does that put any pressure on you guys to succeed in this
Who are the
year?
Golden Knights? No, the only pressure is that the sniping of people saying you got to do as good as them.
It's just good. Vegas is treating us well, and I think the record doesn't show how hard that we work, and it's tough in that way, but it's good for us in the inner circle to understand what we have going on in Vegas, and if we just continue to trust and believe in each other, the sky's the limit for this team, and I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Our expectations maybe at the start of the season were a little unrealistic.
Man, we're not even worrying about the playoffs right now. What we do is we take it week by week. We gotta worry about next week. You start looking ahead and you start looking over people, you might not even make it. So.
That being said, to me, Urban Meyer is one of the lowest pieces of garbage there is on this earth.
You are tuned in to Straight Bet Sports, live on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network.
So at least we know how I feel about one head coach, right? But we feel really good about another head coach we got in the studio today. But what's going on, everybody? Jose V, you already know what it is. You are tuning to Straight Bet Sports live here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. It's Wednesday afternoon, just a little past 4 p.m. I hope you guys are enjoying the new time we got. We're not here late night anymore, ladies and gentlemen, midday. So if you're on the East Coast, West Coast, you have enough time to chime in, tune in, give us a call, and just have fun and enjoy the show today. Normally, I am in the studio with my co-host, Ian B, and of course, the guy that makes it all happen behind the big board, Quan59, here on Gorilla Cross Radio. But today, Ian's taking the day off. He's got some family things to take care of. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we all got to take a quick little break and handle our personal business. So, Ian, do your thing, my guy. We'll see you back next week. Even though we really wanted you in studio today for this show, because we have a good friend of ours on the show tonight. But it doesn't matter. We got two good friends of the show here hanging out with me tonight, and we're going to chop it up and talk all things football, all things sports gambling on football, which is pretty good because I know a lot of you people out there are betting the NFL, betting college football, and you just want to get some regular conversation on what some guys in Vegas have to say. So we're going to do that for sure today. But do what you do every single Wednesday and do what I ask you to please do every single Wednesday. Drop that like, drop that comment, press that share. We'll go from there. Let everyone know what it is that you guys are tuned into today. I tweeted it out earlier today, and I'm going to start doing it every single day of the week leading up to the show. 702-608-3259 is the phone number. If you guys want to give us a call, give us a call. We don't get that many phone calls, but sometimes it's okay to get them. We need some banter. We need some back and forth, some conversation. That's what sports talk conversation is all about. But let me introduce my co-host of the evening today. He is a regular here on the show, regular all over Las Vegas for that matter. Chris Winn, what's good, my guy?
It's going great. Good to join you. Good to have our guy, Coach Davis, here live in studio. And certainly no shortage of things to talk about when it comes to the gridiron, guys, and especially betting on the gridiron, right? Because with all these scenarios coming up lately, when to go for two, when to kick the extra point, it makes it kind of wild for a lot of the sports bettors out there with all this stuff taking place. So always good to join you guys on a Wednesday hump day here to talk a little straight bet sports.
And not only that, we're not just going to talk professional sports betting. You got the shirt on, UNLV.
I'm sporting the gear, man.
10-point dogs at home.
I'm not part of the coaching staff.
I know.
I'm just I'm liking the colors. I just decided to throw some UNLV action on right now.
Now we're definitely going to be talking about that
football team's doing all right.
Yeah,
except for last weekend.
It's okay.
We won't harp on that too much, but
now you heard that voice. I know you don't see it on the camera yet, but our guy Mike Davis. I got to show the swag. Vegas Nighthawks, IFL. You already know Las Vegas does have a professional football team aside from the Las Vegas Raiders. We have the Vegas Nighthawks, which are owned and operated by the Vegas Golden Knights, obviously, playing out of the Dollar Loan Center And we got the one and only, the head coach, general manager, and our good friend here, Mike Davis. What's good, my man?
Trying to survive.
Trying to survive.
No, it's great.
Trying to survive what?
I'm always happy to be here. You know how that goes.
Definitely. Nah, I know. Every time I hit you up, man, you're like, let me know. Make the phone call. Make it happen. We'll chop it up. We'll hang out. We'll talk sports. This ain't an interview today. We ain't going to talk about everything that's going on.
It's
We want
never
to talk
an interview
football.
anyway.
Just want to
it's
chop
off
it up with
season
you.
for you too.
Yeah.
So it's
It isn't though,
There's
right?
never an off season.
You know what I mean, though.
But I'm
Yeah,
glad
I
you
don't
brought
think
that
get
up,
ready
though.
for a game.
Because Mike said it before the studio, before we got in. He goes, bro, I've been working nonstop. I can't stop. And I bet. I'm not a professional head coach, but I get during the offseason, there's a lot going on. And you got your tryouts coming out in just a few weeks. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, we always try to do a local tryout here for guys locally. I mean, we'll probably have 30 or 50 guys show up, and you'll have some guys that fly in. I know some guys that reached out the last week that are flying in that from Florida, Texas. I've got confirmation that there's at least one CFL team coming.
Okay.
We just did a partnership deal with the XFL, so I'm sure Coach Woodson and the XFL guys will be there. And any way we can help the kids with a platform, October 29th at Heritage Park.
So I read a little bit about the partnership. Can you talk about that and how that's going to work with the XFL? Because it's a league that's trying to grow as you guys are growing as well.
Yeah. So basically, what it does is it allows us to let players get advanced, just like my connections in the CFL. Now they have another avenue.
Okay.
If somebody goes down, let's say for the Vegas team, and they need a DB, well, I mean, they can look at any IFL team and grab the DB that they want.
Got
it. And then after the season, they'll have a East or a Midwest and a West Coast combine strictly just for IFL guys, and just to give them another platform.
And what did you see last year from some of the guys that you got in tryouts? Because I know you ended up keeping a few people from what I remember, not that many, but are you expecting that same type of turnout this year because of what you got last year?
I am. We signed 5 guys from the tryouts last year, and had a great turnout. Had 60-some guys show up.
Okay.
And I'm quality over quantity.
Okay.
I don't care if there's 10 guys that show up, as long as if we can find one guy that works out, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Besides that, it's a good time just to be able to evaluate guys. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I've been working out, coach. Well, we're going to see here in 2 weeks how much you've really been working out.
What are you looking to find, though, out of those tryouts? Because obviously you already know what you have on your squad, what guys are coming back, what guys aren't from last year. Is there anything in particular that you're like, I hope to find this in these tryouts?
Everybody always asks that, but no. I'm just looking for the best player available.
Okay.
But what it does, it allows me to grow a database here locally. If I did have an injury, let's say on a Wednesday, and I can't get somebody to get here, I know I have a group of local guys that worked out for us that can play and come in a pinch.
Gotcha. What you got, Chris?
Yeah, it's certainly interesting from a standpoint of Vegas, right? As far as locally, this is a place where there is talent when it comes to football, right? And the guys that can play at all levels, right? And so, I mean, I immediately think of former, and you had a number of them on your team last year, former UNLV Rebels that came in and helped your team out. So I immediately think of guys like Chuck Williams, right? Like Charles Williams and people like that, where, as you pointed out, when it comes to, it's not just all about the NFL. There are many opportunities for guys to continue their professional football playing careers. So it's always a great thing to have like an open tryout like this, where you can find maybe a diamond in the rough. You can find that Vince Papale, guys, right? You can, you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Sure.
Like that's kind of the when I hear about quote unquote open tryouts like this. I wish it was more accessible back when I was playing.
Chris, like, when I was
23, 24,
so just my tryout.
My Division III football career might have been extended. You know what I mean? But no, it is a great thing though to know that there's that one more avenue, Mike. Coach,
absolutely,
right? That you can do that.
Guys. The surprising part for me, there's a ton of athletes in Vegas. Not even the guys that went to UNLV. I mean, guys that went to other schools, Division I, Division II, NAIA, and they have moved to Vegas.
Right.
I mean, I could think of, this year I've talked to 15 or so guys that have played at UNLV. Like, I just talked to him the other day, like Julio Garcia, starting guard for UNLV, had a good opportunity, probably needs to make a position change and play center. But, that's a kid that is intelligent beyond his years, probably going to go back and be a GA. And it's just a different avenue and another platform for guys there's the direct way to go to the NFL, and then there's that winding road, whether you come play for the Nighthawks or get a chance in the XFL or get a chance in the CFL and then circle back and get your opportunity.
Once again, Jose V, Chris Winn. We got Mike Davis in the studio hanging out with us here on Straight Bet Sports, Gorilla Cross Radio. Mike, we got a phone call. I hope you're okay with taking phone calls today. We just want to switch it up a bit. I know you're willing to answer some questions. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's for all of us. But caller, please let us know your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, how's it going, Jose, Ian, Mike? This is the Guru Joe from New York State. How we doing tonight, fellas?
What's going on, my guy Joe? What you got for us today?
So, first off, I wanted to give a huge congratulations to Mike. It's awesome to see what he's doing. It's awesome to see open tryouts. That's something I wish was a thing when I was still in college. Playing football, I love to see it. I think the more opportunities we can give people to the potential to gain generational wealth is amazing. So I love what he is doing, and I hope you guys keep it up. What I did want to ask you guys in regards to football and, possibly the correlation between college and these other leagues, do you think there's a potential that people will opt to not go to college and go to some of these other leagues like CFL, indoor football, XFL?
That's a great question. I never thought about that. Is that even an option right now, though? That's the thing.
For my side of things, I tell guys to explore all your eligibility before you ever come to me or go to the CFL. Just because there is a farm system for the NFL, and that's called the NCAA.
Yeah.
And they're always looking for the next younger, better guy.
Yep.
Have I seen some guys that didn't have their grades, some JUCO kids? Absolutely. There's a kid that literally just signed. This is how, as coaches, we miss sometimes. There's a kid named Jeremiah Farms who wanted to come to our workout. I saw him. I'm like, I'm not sure. He was good, but he just didn't wow me.
Gotcha.
He's currently on the practice roster for the New England Patriots.
It happens, right?
And
you see the talent.
To kind of piggyback what Coach Davis is talking about, look, he's a Virginia Tech guy, right? College football is still the premier feeder when it comes to professional football on all levels, right? Whether it's the CFL, whether it's the Arena League, whether it's the indoor football league, whether it's any of these leagues, college football is still, it has, we're talking about decades of tradition. We're talking about essentially, conferences all over the country that are esteemed in having that kind of cachet. And so high school kids, right? What's the first thing you're thinking? You're not thinking of, I need to go and play in the IFL or even play in the Arena League or in the CFL for a couple of years so I can get my look. No, the way kids are thinking even now, 2022 is, okay, where am I get the most exposure in college and go play? Can I go play at Miami? Can I go play in Blacksburg at Virginia? Can I go, and play in Ann Arbor at Michigan? Can I play, go to LA and play at UCLA, USC? That's still kind of the mentality. I think the caller was trying to get to, would they take that option of maybe, it's possible, but I think it's more possible. And what Mike was saying earlier also is that that college is still on the forefront of everybody's mind when it comes to, your amateur career in football.
My guy, Joe, I greatly appreciate you chiming in and chopping in, man. You've been following me on Twitter, and we've been riding with it for a minute. I appreciate you, my guy. I'll give you a plug. Let people know where they can find you real quick.
I appreciate you, Jose. You guys can find me over on Twitter at the Guru Joe. That's DAGURU Joe. Hit me up. We're doing a great sale this week on plays. All 50% of proceeds are going straight to the American Cancer Foundation. So if you are interested in helping make a donation to a great cause, by all means, we'd greatly appreciate it. To Jose, Ian, and Mike, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your time. Love the show, and I look forward to continue listening and continue calling in and talking to you guys.
Appreciate it, my guy. You have yourself a great rest of your day. Enjoy the baseball and that barn burner of a football game we got tomorrow.
It's
a good
huge,
one.
isn't it?
It's a huge game. It's a huge
Commanders, game. Bears, come on now. It's top notch.
So let's transition into some NFL talk real quick. My thing is, and we were talking about this earlier before I got here, and I even said it after last week's Thursday night game. I still don't understand how we can have a Sunday night flex, but yet we can't figure out how we can flex a Thursday night game. I understand two teams are already set. They know if they're playing on Sunday, they're going to have that short week to go on Thursday. But why not put the whole league on notice and go, hey, this could possibly be you. because these games on Thursday night, they haven't always been this bad. Let's be real. But they've gotten worse and worse as the years have gone by. We're going from the game that we had last week to the Commanders and the Bears tomorrow. I mean, I'd rather watch paint dry than watch this game tomorrow, guys, if I'm being honest with you. There's no way. I'll probably bet it just for the hell of it to put a ticket in, turn it off, and watch it later and see what happened. Some lottery ticket. But let's be real. The NFL has to figure out something on flexing these games. Do you guys agree or not?
I agree. But
Coming from a coach.
The NFLPA will never let that happen. Safety precautions, like it's scheduled out for months in advance.
Yeah.
Like the Sunday night flex is always available, but the Thursday I can never see that happening.
Jose, you just touched on it. The reason why it would never happen. You said, you kind of said it fleetingly fast right there. The short week, man. Come on, 3 or 4 days. You're going to put every single NFL team on notice on whether or not you're going to be playing that game. Logistics wise, too. Also, you got to deal with it as far as travel and no, they're not going to. It's not going to shake out like that. It's going to. When it comes to Thursday, I anticipate that they're just going to keep it the way it is, and it'll be set throughout the entire season.
So how can we fix
go
it?
from there?
How can we fix it? That's the thing.
Well, you won't. You're going to get your Washington, Chicago matchups.
You knew these
you're
two
gonna
games
get.
were going to suck before the season started.
100%.
So don't even do it.
Right. You're exactly right, and more so with the Bears, I think, than Washington. But either way, I kind of
say that
understand
it's going to be
what
like a 35-31 football game tomorrow.
they'll probably light it up. It'll be
a
absolutely
high scoring game.
It'll be electric across the board offensively. Guys are going to go nuts. Yeah. Hey, quick comment off the board, by the way. Our guy, Ian Bradford, weighs in. We were talking about, obviously, getting football players, right?
Yeah.
He says that's where Mike scouted Bailey Zappi. Wait, Kentucky, baby. Hilltoppers, baby.
And here's the thing. Me and Ian were talking about that last Sunday when we found out he was starting.
Yes.
The first thing he said was, remember, Mike? Remember last year? Remember when you were talking about this kid? This kid broke NCAA records. He reminded me of Case Keenum when he was at Houston.
Right.
Throwing up Madden-type numbers, but he did it last year. And now he's getting the opportunity in New England. I'm glad you brought up that comment.
Yes.
Because Ian asked me this question. He wanted me to ask you, do we have a quarterback controversy now in New England?
No.
You believe so?
No. Mac Jones is their guy.
Okay.
Until the wheels fall off.
So you see nothing from Bailey to make you feel that this kid could have an opportunity to possibly fight for this job?
Well, look how the game has changed. Like, look at the play calling. They're a heavy run first and a play action guy.
Yeah.
Right now with Mac Jones, it's more wide open. Mm-hmm. And now Bailey's also a first year kid. Like, he's trying to learn the playbook. They have it in, but I'm sure they don't just say, hey, here, take the reins off and here's the keys to the car.
17 of 21, 188 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Not a bad stat line for your first start.
I don't think it's a quarterback controversy. It's as much of a quarterback controversy, in my opinion, as there is in Dallas, obviously, with Cooper Rush and Dak Prescott. Look, you understand that the Cowboys have been winning. Cooper Rush is the quarterback when they've been winning. But I think everybody, especially in Dallas, understands that Dak Prescott probably gives them the best chance to win. But what is this with the New England Patriots, though, and backup quarterbacks with their last name starting in Z? You got Scott Zolak back in the 90s who was stepping in the first time Drew Bledsoe got hurt. And now you got, Bailey Zappi. You got all these, funny signs replacing Happy with Zappi in the stands with New England Patriot fans. It was interesting, though, Mike. I've been following a little bit of, I used to work in Boston, so I follow a lot of the Boston media. There's a couple people that have had some hot takes trying to say Bailey Zappi's the best quarterback in New England right now. I would agree with you. I think that they're going to roll with Mac Jones, but there's some people out there chirping a little bit saying that they love this kid and he could possibly be unseat Mac Jones there in New England. But I think it's
they said
there's still a lot more left. Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
They said the same thing with
who?
With Jimmy G.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And look at how that worked out. That guy's still there. Now look, I always like to throw stuff out there that people be like, you're crazy. I like to start controversy. I'm that type of person. I know I say some crazy stuff, but I honestly think Bailey Zapp has an opportunity. And here's why. The kid came into New England knowing they already had their number one guy. He came into the NFL knowing I broke records in college. I can play this position, and he has that confidence. Look at his stat line. Game 1. Technically not game 1 because he came in, I believe, in the previous game before that. Yeah. So he has nothing to lose in this situation. He's just out to prove that he can play ball, I think. Now, I'm not saying we have a quarterback controversy thinking he's going to take over that, but if he continues to play well, shows that he can help and carry this team without making mistakes and be smart, that's just helping him for the backup position moving forward in New England. But obviously, we've seen guys, Matt Flynn, other guys get these opportunities because they look good in a backup situation. Not saying he's going to get that, but he is young enough to be working on his profile now to show other teams, hey, maybe I can throw that ball. Maybe I can be your pocket guy. Maybe I can do a little more than maybe your backup can. I'm not saying he's going to be a leader right now, but he's showing right off the bat, I got nothing to lose here, guys.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you rather have Bailey Zappi as your quarterback for 3 years or have Chase Daniels' career?
Oh, wait. Well, are you talking about me as an individual, as a coach?
As anybody.
I'd want Chase Daniels' career.
100%. I mean, the guy's made $50 million in 10 years and has thrown 80 passes.
Greatest backup quarterback of all time.
But look what he did.
I don't know. You know who it is?
Financially.
It's Brian Hoyer. Isn't Brian Hoyer the best?
Yeah.
Like that guy's had. You want to talk about careers, right? Brian Hoyer's got rings. Like a ton of
do you
them.
agree with Ian on this? He just chimed in. He says Zappi is more talented. Mac is more polished.
No.
No.
You go to Alabama for a reason. You know, you go. I mean, Bailey Zappi, he went Houston Baptist, grad transferred to Western Kentucky, was in the great Petrino offense, Bobby Petrino style offense that's notorious for putting up huge numbers. I think the kid's a super talent. Obviously, he is where he is, but for a reason. But Chase Daniels did that at Missouri too.
Yeah.
In the big time college football. Again, nothing against him, but
played in bigger games too. Way bigger games.
Guys go, and I say this all the time. Guys go to the SEC and the Power 5 schools for a reason. Do guys fall through the cracks? Absolutely. But normally, if you fall through the cracks, you're normally, from my perspective, you're a late bloomer.
Speaking of late bloomers, Jose brought up Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn had one game. The guy had like 500 yards passing against the Lions. Like the last game of the season.
Day? No.
Yeah.
It was like late in the year. I want to say December,
around
like
there
late
somewhere,
December. And it was Flynn against Stafford, and they both had huge games. Stafford threw for like 400 and something yards too, and a bunch of touchdowns. The Packers
wasn't
win.
that the year that Stafford went crazy statistically wise, but there were other quarterbacks ahead of him?
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what he had like close to 5,000 passing yards.
He had
that's
a ton of yards. But that game, Matt Flynn essentially got that deal from the Seahawks because of that game. And then, of course, what happens? He ends up getting beat out by Russell Wilson there and doesn't even end up starting. So it was one game that Matt Flynn. It was just funny that you brought that up because I was like,
backup quarterbacks. We have a guy you just mentioned, Seattle. We have a guy, Geno Smith, 7 years, I believe, he's been a backup since he's been out of the Jets organization, right? We saw what happened there. The Jets draft him after having Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez was supposed to be your quote-unquote guy. I'm a Jets fan. I watched it all happen. And then Geno comes in and we start the quarterback controversy, right? We see what happens in the preseason. Mark Sanchez with the first quarter injury. Geno comes in and the rest is history. Mark is gone. Geno's there. We see what happened. He's now in Seattle backing up Russell after all these years. And then now, obviously, not going back to away from last week, the first 4 weeks, best quarterback in the league statistically, right? We're talking about going into week 5. We would have never thought. I didn't think we were going to hear that about Geno Smith. I thought there's no way Seattle's going to be in any type of contention whatsoever.
Late bloomer.
Late bloomer. And he even said it in an interview. They were asking him. The interviewer asked him, did you believe that you would be in this situation, number one quarterback at this point in the season? He goes, yeah, you must have not watched my film. You were backing up someone for 7 years. Exactly, but you still practice, you still play, you still do what you got to do. I'm not saying that Geno's going to win a Super Bowl for Seattle, but I like what I've seen from Geno in Seattle, and I'm never against the guy not to succeed. I will tell you how much I think a guy is not going to, and I don't think he's made for the NFL or this and that, but I will never say I don't want guys to succeed. I never downplay anyone or put any bad juju on anyone.
But look how they're winning games.
Correct. It's not just on him. It's the whole team collectively. You're a head coach.
They just lose
They're
Penny,
coaching.
unfortunately. So I want to see.
No, they're losing running backs left and right. They're still winning. You know what I mean?
I want to see how that works.
That's in the backfield. Yeah.
I mean, they're signing guys left and right, and it's just, the play calling for them has been to perfection. Because they're not asking him to put it on his shoulders. He's deflecting and just distributing the football how he should be, and their defense is still playing well enough to win.
Mike and Jose, I have to admit, I have my foot in my mouth because I thought that he was absolutely not going to be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. I thought for sure it was going to be Drew Lock. You know, when you were back in training camp, right, and back in the preseason. That was my expectation, given Geno Smith's history in the NFL. I thought that Drew Lock was going to find a way to win that job. He didn't, obviously. And then we saw what Geno's done. He's found lightning in a bottle, really, right?
And I still think Drew will be a superstar in the league.
Who?
Drew Lock.
You think?
I do.
I think.
I like Drew Lock.
Mike, I was talking about this with Jose many
yeah.
times. I want to believe as much. I said the same thing about Josh Jacobs. I'm like, Josh Jacobs should be a top 5 talent running back in this league. And I also thought that Drew Lock back in Denver last year. I think Drew Lock's going to figure it out. I think he can be an NFL guy, NFL quarterback. Hasn't proved me to be right yet, obviously.
But why?
But
Situation.
You go from Denver, which is a bottled up offense. Now you're more of the West Coast, side in Seattle. It makes life tough. Josh Jacobs. I said this when they didn't re-sign him to his 5th-year option. I'm like, he's going to run like a man possessed, and somebody's going to pay him at the end of the season.
Yeah. But it's all academic, right, guys? Because Quan's San Francisco 49ers are just going to destroy the rest of the teams in this division. So it's
Quanstradamus.
Yeah, they're going to kill it. I mean, the Niners might not lose a game the rest of the
season. Quan was close
right?
last week. Quan said that the Niners would win by 24, and they won by 22. So he was very close.
Yeah.
He's very good at calling these games. But
I hate being wrong.
Mike, exactly. but the reason I bring up the whole Seattle situation, because I also want to talk about the Jets here shortly. I know people are saying you're a Jets fan, whatever. But you're a head coach. You're a football head coach. Coaching-wise, you just said it, the play calling, the way it's been, the way the team has played. Would you say that this coaching staff has to get a lot of credit this year for what they're doing right now, from what you're seeing from the outside looking in?
Pete Carroll will go down with he's already one of the best ever, but he just solidified his spot to go back and say, hey, here's my scheme. These are the players. I'm going to adjust my scheme to my players. It's not, hey, I need to go find players to fit into this scheme, because it doesn't work like that. If you're not flexible and understand what you have and what your talents are, you're in trouble.
Pretty impressive, too. You lose Chris Carson, right? Goes down with the injury. Now you've lost Rashad Penny, obviously. So now you're going to Kenneth Walker III, my Michigan State guy, right? And I think he's going to be out a solid.
He'll be a
They
superstar.
still have Travis Homer there, who's going to be a fact. They still have DJ Dallas also in that backfield. So they've had pieces. But it's funny. We talked about Geno Smith kind of getting written off, right? We talked about Drew Lock getting written off. People have been writing off Pete Carroll the last couple of years, too, saying the game has passed him by. He's too old now. They think of him like the Joe Biden of the NFL, like the guy's just ancient. And look, there's some truth, obviously, the age thing, but there's no question that they have been one of the surprises, I think, in the NFL this year.
And if you look at the way Geno's played and the way they've played him, it kind of reminds me of what Bill Belichick did last year with Mac Jones. It was go out there and play. We don't need you to win these games. We don't need you to try to be a superstar.
Facilitate.
Just go out there and play. Exactly, and it's working. Now, talking about going out there and play, coaching with what you have. I sound like a broken record, and I said it all through the preseason. I don't watch preseason games, but Ian got me into the preseason this year, and I saw the Jets play. All I saw from the 3 preseason games that I saw was head coaching and the coaching staff. For you to be down every single game at halftime and come back and adjust with what you have, knowing it's not your starting guys, knowing it's not the regular season, that's coaching your ass off, regardless of the fact. The Jets are 3-2. A lot of Jets fans I spoke to, and people die hard more than me in New York that live there, expected us to be 0-5 at this point, maybe even 1 win at this point, right? Because we played the whole AFC, was it South or North? I'm sorry, what was it? Where the Steelers, what side is that on?
The AFC North.
Yeah. Sorry, AFC North. We played the whole AFC North to start the season. First 4 games were all against the AFC North. Granted, we got lucky. We had a guy in Joe Flacco that knew the division, so was able to help us out.
For sure.
But the fact that we're 3-2, the one thing that I will say, and I want to see what you think about this, Mike, I've watched Salah, the way he's coaching on the sideline, the way the players react to him, the rest of the coaching staff, not just him, the D-line coach, the defensive backs coach, the way that Sauce Gardner is playing, just absolute lights out. This team is 3-2 without the respect, not because of players, not because of talent, but because of coaching all the way right now.
I mean, you got to give the players credit.
I do, but I'm saying
that, like Sauce Gardner did that at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
He
did it in high school. Didn't even allow a touchdown.
Right. But the players are playing their butts off for Robert and that staff. Like those kids rally around them. And it's funny because you watch them, and I'm not a Jets fan, but you watch them come out in the first half, and it's almost like, okay, I have a vanilla game plan. Let's see how they're going to play against us. We're going to go into halftime. Here's our plan A. Here's our plan B. Which one works with how they're playing us in the first half? Okay, let's switch it up and go this, and they come roaring back. Now, they've gotten some timely turnovers as well, but you still have to capitalize on that stuff. Anytime you get a coach that the players believe in and have a good time with and trust him, I mean, that's lightning in a bottle.
So I asked Lady Rebels head coach Lenny DeRock when we had her in the studio last time, do you ever watch basketball, NBA, college basketball, and you sit there and you're going, what are you doing? And you feel like you're coaching the game saying, I would have done this differently. I would have done a different play. Do you watch, whether it's college, IFL, or even the NFL, and you sit there and you go, what the heck are you guys doing?
No, I'm more of I'll sit back and be like, oh, here comes this or here comes that.
But you're the Tony Romo guy.
Literally. I feel like sometimes, you watch, I can never bash a coach or, oh, I would have called this, I would have called that. I question, like, what made you call it in this situation?
Okay, that makes sense.
Because football, sports in general, has turned so analytically now that, I mean, look, the Rams have a guy that holds the analytics book behind McVay the whole game. And you will see them looking at it, hey, I'm down 12 in second quarter with 4 minutes left. What's it tell me to do? I should go for 2. Nope, I'm playing it out for the long game. Guys, I was talking to somebody last week and they were like, why'd you go for 2 in the third quarter? I'm like, because at the end, you don't want to chase points until here. Same thing. Look what happened with the beloved Raiders.
Yeah.
I think that was the right decision. That's just a tough call with Chris Jones in the middle.
See, I'm okay with it because I had the Raiders plus 7.5 because there was way too much money.
No bias there at all.
There was about
75%
of the money ATS, about 91% of the money line coming in on the Chiefs. So I had to ride with the books on that one. But no, I understand what you're saying. At the end of the day, as fans watching the game behind the screen at the house or at the sports book, it's easy to say why, right? We don't coach. We don't know the way it works, the ins and outs of it. So I totally get that. Was I a little wondering why they wouldn't try to go for the tie? I get it. You've already been in overtime against Arizona. It didn't work out. But it is what it is. It's part of the game. You know what I mean?
Well, think about this. You go up 1.
Yeah.
It would have left how much time on the clock?
There was 4 minutes and 25 seconds.
So are you going to get a stop and make them try to hold them to a field goal and then come down and win it?
Yeah.
I understand, Carl, you have a great kicker. But I'm trying to play for me, I'm playing the long game. I say that as I'm picking on.
Okay, so you guys both are talking about positive aspects of coaches, right? You obviously talked about the Jet situation and in Seattle. I got to go the other direction, guys, on a couple teams. One of them's here in Vegas for the Raiders. All right, Coach, I got to get your opinions as far as Josh McDaniels, what you think as far as what he's done early on in his Raider coaching career. And then there's Dan Campbell in Detroit. Now, the Lions, much talked about, obviously, because of Hard Knocks and everything that went on. And you get the hype around that, and you got a coach that's a rah-rah type of in-your-face. That's kind of his coaching mentality. That's his personality, period. He's a player's coach. The players love to play for the guy, but the results aren't there in Detroit. They're 1-4 right now. They've had some bad losses, and there's some question marks creeping in to a lot of people's psyche there in the Motor City. So I kind of want to get your impression on both Josh McDaniels here in Vegas and what he's done, and also Dan Campbell in Detroit as far as his coaching ability.
So you may not agree with me. I love what Josh Daniels is doing in Vegas.
Okay.
They've lost 4 games, all by less than a touchdown. Like, they're there. They just have to finish.
Yeah.
Detroit, their offense is way better than what people projected. Their defense, which they thought would be way better, has struggled. But they probably should be 3-2. Not 1-4.
That game against the Vikings was kind of crazy and ridiculous that you lose that game. But that's going to be put on coaching, right? The coaches are going to take the heat for that.
100%.
When you have a situation like that.
We lost 7 games by 8 points or less here with all rookies this year. So I understand that part of it. Sometimes you have to teach guys how to be pros and how to finish. And that takes time. I mean, if they were getting blown out, people would be all up in arms like, oh, goodness, what's going on? But right now, they've lost 4 tough ones.
Yeah.
I mean, the Raiders could be 5-0. Literally, they could just as easy be 5-0.
Jose, I got to get your take on Josh McDaniels because I can see what Coach Davis is putting down here, but this is again a Raiders team that is underachieved from a record standpoint, right? They're not where they expected to be right now at this point in the season. Obviously, we're going into week 6, but I mean, your thoughts regarding Josh McDaniels and the impact that he's had here as the head coach.
I'll say this before I get to the Josh McDaniels stuff with your Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Aside from the game against New England, which I'm not shocked because that's Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? You're bringing in a guy that has a high-scoring offense in Detroit right now, was the #1 scoring offense in the NFL going into Week 5. I'm not surprised. That's just a Bill Belichick style defense.
You weren't surprised that the highest scoring offense in the National Football League got shut out?
Shut out
against
yes.
the New England Patriots, who are not a very good team this year.
Shut out, yes. But the way that New England played defense, no, I'm not surprised in that. Let me clear that up. I didn't think the Lions were going to get shut out.
They didn't even kick a field goal, Jose.
Correct. But what I'm saying is that just shows you that that's Bill Belichick defense. It's Bill Belichick defense. The fact that this game was in New England and not in Detroit changed the whole landscape of the game. Think about all the games you guys have lost. You haven't been blown out by people. You guys have been in close games this year.
You just got blown out like a matter of a few days ago.
Correct.
I don't know, you know.
Aside from that game, Chris, I'm trying to give you some positive stuff here. Don't get too mad about the loss last week.
You do understand I'm a Detroit Lions fan, right? So
I do understand that. But going back to the Raiders, I think way too many people are jumping on that ship that, well, he was already a coach in Denver. It didn't work.
Yep.
Oh, all the New England disciples are just that. They all come back home and they all come back to
with their tail between their legs
with their
and go
tail
back
between
to
their
New
legs.
England.
I look at it this way. We had one of the worst professional seasons of a football franchise that they can have last year because of all the turmoil, the John Gruden, the Mike Mayock firing, just everything that happened, right? And then you have an intern coach in Rich Bisaccia that comes in and takes your team with what you have and the situations going on, and you make it to the playoffs. I get it. You bring in a guy like Josh McDaniels because you're not going to keep an intern guy. You want to create something different. I like all the moves that they did in the offseason. The way they changed the way the organization, the players that they brought in, the front office, how they changed the culture in Las Vegas. I think that the 1-4 is just a big misoverreaction by a lot of people. It's just like Coach Arroyo. I was ready to write off Coach Arroyo last year, even though they finally won games. But again, you have to give coaches and players time to gel to become one.
Does it feel like a culture change, Jose?
I do.
To me, it feels like the same Raiders.
No, it does.
They've been for 30 years.
It does to me because of the way that they did it during the offseason. If you see the way they did it with Mike Mayock,
But it doesn't matter.
it looked like
if
a
the
guy that was just
results
trying
are
to
the
put.
same.
I understand that, but you have
It's
a
the
new
same
head
culture.
coach that hasn't coached any of these players.
Might need a new
You have a
quarterback.
guy in Devontae Adams that's used to being with a Hall of Famer like Aaron Rodgers,
Who's about to be suspended for 2 games.
which is fine. He could be suspended as ever he wants.
He'll get that appeal though. Watch.
But what I'm saying is, going back to Chris's question, I think it's an overreaction. Even if the Raiders don't make the playoffs and they have a horrible record this year, I think we need to give Josh McDaniels some time. I'm not saying give him 2, 3, 4 years. Of course not. By that time, we better be winning something at that point. But this is his first year. I mean, are we really
And they have an easy schedule, too, coming up.
Correct. So that's why it's not
the next
over.
5 games after the bye. I think Houston, New Orleans, a couple other bad teams, right?
They're still going to win 9 or 10 games this year. Watch.
And that's the thing. I would not be surprised if that happens. That's why I'm saying I think it's an overreaction. It's 5 weeks into the season, people, and I've been saying it. Last year, we had the Broncos, we had the Panthers, 3-0, combined 0-6 teams that they had played against. And what happened? Neither team made the playoffs nor even had a winning record last year. So that's like no disrespect to the Eagles, because I've been saying it to Ian. Enjoy what you have now. They're great. We know that. But the season isn't over. We're not even at the midway point yet. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we need to take a back seat, slow down and relax. I think the Raiders will be fine. I really do believe that. A lot of people that are coming at me are going, well, Devontae Adams played in college with Derek Carr. Correct. How long ago? 11, 12 years ago?
Right.
It's been a while. I'm not saying that they can't gel again, but if you look at the offense, and we're being honest, they need to start spreading it out. Renfro is back. He's not hurt. We got a guy in Hollins, which is stepping up, and
That
no
they were
one's
trying to
talking about.
cut.
Correct. And no one's talking about this kid, and he's stepping up. So now you have Devontae Adams. You have Waller, which is hurt now. I know he's not going to be playing, but still, Renfro, Hollins, all these guys. Jacobs, which has been a lot more better, not being hurt, which is normally he's hurt by this time in the season already. I just think we have to sit back and wait. I think this team will be fine. They're trying to figure it all out. Even if it's not this year, slow it down. I'm not a Raider fan.
9+.
So
You know
Jose, Juan and Mike brought him up. Devontae Adams. Do we want to dive into this?
Go for it.
Do we want to start talking about this?
Of course.
Obviously, the
Bring it
incident took place after the game. You had a visibly upset Devontae Adams. He had just thrown his helmet. They had just lost. He basically ran into Hunter Renfro. That ends the game. The Raiders end up losing by a point in Kansas City. You have the incident where you're shoving a photog essentially on the field, in his face, trying to get off the field, and obviously people were not very happy about the situation. Obviously, Mike, you're a coach. You're someone who's been in these types of situations on the field with working media being on the field. The reason this has been a big deal, in my opinion, is because obviously you don't see this every day, right? I've covered hundreds of games, thousands of games. All of us here have been in those types of situations, and this usually isn't the end result where you have a player essentially, shoving down somebody from the working media. I want to get your initial reaction as to what happened, and do you think that the punishment is going to fit the crime? Because I agree with what Quan just said. I think he's probably looking at a short, suspension, as well as probably a monster fine from the NFL. He's already has a legal situation, obviously,
misdemeanor assault charge
in the state of Missouri. So, just your initial thoughts on that, and do you think that there's going to be any major changes from the NFL after this took place?
Well, two things I always say. Mm-hmm. Would this be a big deal if the Raiders would have won? First of all, literally.
Well, it probably wouldn't happen, right? Because he would have been the same in a better mood.
Happened, but if the same incident happened,
you know what I mean, though? Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, if that would have happened and they would have won, would all the criticism and everything? What he did is not right. I don't agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. But as a professional player and a professional photog, whatever, cameraman, camerawoman, whatever. You have to have some boundaries. I mean, you can't just be sticking the camera in people's face when you know they just had a heartbreaker. No. There's got to be some boundaries there. I think there will be some changes. They'll kind of give him a little more leeway. I do think he gets a monster fine, but I also think he'll probably get a suspension. He'll get an appeal, and next week he'll have a monster game, and people forget about it. I mean, that's how pro sports works.
"Quote unquote," it'll be swept under the rug like it never happened.
I didn't say that, but
it's not. I don't know if swept under the rug is the right way to describe it, because they have it on video and it's So
what I heard is he thought it was Hunter Renfrow running into him again.
He wanted to get him out of the way.
We already lost the game because of you, Hunter. Get out of the way.
Yeah,
he didn't want to miss the bus. He didn't want to miss the bus.
I'm trying
to
get into a quick shower, bro, and you're just in my way. Look, to me, the whole thing was the whole thing. To me, it's the crossing the line part, which is where he shoves him. Right now, what he should have done, like I'm being, after the fact, being the perfect scenario. What he should have done is stopped and just went around him and just be on his way.
100%.
And it should have been over. Obviously,
but that's hard.
So, but you shove the dude over, and it looked kind of bad. And it looks like the guy goes down. I mean, he could have got hurt seriously.
But it's almost a natural reaction. Yeah. You're focused. You're pissed. You just got ran into to lose the game, right? And you already stepped out of bounds to not get that play.
Yeah.
So you're focused on the locker room. You're pissed just walking back there. This dude comes up. It's just, you don't really see him.
It's a reaction.
And so it's a reaction. It's a weird reaction, but I mean, I could see how he could do that.
Speaking of NFL photographers, I'm not sure if you guys know this. I just pulled it up on Twitter randomly. You guys remember the big unit, Randy Johnson?
Yeah, I saw
that. He's a photographer in the NFL now, a credentialed photographer.
And baseball.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
And baseball.
But he's a credentialed. Hey, be careful, Randy. You might have players coming at you, my man.
But
he's pretty big, though. You could probably run him over, though.
Nobody ever says anything when guys run out of bounds and the photographer is right there and they push him over.
Because that's part of the gameplay, though. That's the nature. That's what
I understand.
There's no avoiding that.
I understand.
This was after the game. You're just walking to the tunnel, and I'm telling you, the key moment, why people are even talking about this is he did. Yeah, Jose just did it, and it was perfect. He shoved the dude over. Yeah, if you just, even if you just did like an arm swipe or something, it wouldn't have been as big a deal. But because he pushed the guy down, and it was so demonstrative, that's why it's been made such a big deal out of it.
So let me throw this at you, because it's a different sport, but it kind of adds to this. Mm-hmm. You said it. There's video. We saw the video of him doing it. We know what happened with Draymond Green, right? And then the whole situation with the Warriors and all that. The one thing I just want to say about that, and I want to get your take, because you're in the media and you do media. A lot of people are saying that, especially Reggie Miller, Richard Jefferson coming out talking about, this guy should be fired. The person, that this happened, that should never happen. It should be kept in-house. So again, you're telling me when there's a situation negatively, we should sweep it under the rug. One, which is incorrect. You should never do that. I understand if you want to keep something in-house, but you shouldn't be mad when a video gets leaked. And the reason I say that, we're in the media. If it was not for sources, there would be no media. There would be no Straight Bet Sports. There would be no ESPN. There would be no Fox Sports. So for people in the media that are respected that way, in my opinion, to come out and say that this is ridiculous, this should never happen, It's happened. This isn't the first time we've seen a video come out like this. Now, it's bad because the Warriors were about to fix it and close it out and act like nothing happened. But the video comes out just like the Devontae Adams video, so it makes it a bigger deal. Do you agree or disagree that they're overreacting with this whole Draymond Green situation and that videos are just part of the game?
Okay, so I'm going to preface my response by saying that I don't like when people make excuses that, oh yeah, you know, the video should have never came out. Okay, that's not an excuse for your actions.
He dropped him though,
and he absolutely that was a quality punch.
He dropped him.
It was good.
Coach Davis knows what's up. That is absolutely no. And look, he laid him out, and that's a different situation than even the Devontae Adams thing because he could have killed him.
Correct.
You know, I mean, Jordan Poole could have been, you know, couldn't no longer be with us after that, and as Mike just pointed out, right? I mean, it was a solid shot that he took. That being said, I'm kind of surprised, to be quite honest with you, that he's not getting suspended. They're just fining him. I don't know what the rationale is behind the Golden State Warriors, why you would just fine him over that. I get it. It's, you know, training camp, preseason. It's, you know, in at practice. I get that players get into fights probably a lot. And they have been for years. Everybody brings up the Steve Kerr, Michael Jordan incident that took place, right?
30 years ago.
I get it.
30 years ago.
So you have an example of something that happened like this, but it was 30 years ago.
And that leads into what I was saying before about the Devontae Adams thing. Look, the reason people care about this is because it doesn't happen every day. You don't see players always pushing media members after football games, right? You don't see players knocking out other basketball players in practice, and especially when it's on video. So I think that the punishment absolutely doesn't fit the crime when it comes to Draymond Green. And look, I should have his back, right? I'm a Michigan State guy, and we understand there was a history there with Jordan Poole because it's a Big Ten thing, Michigan State thing, and you know I'm not making excuses for Draymond Green whatsoever. I thought it was deplorable, and I think that he should absolutely be suspended.
But how do we know the owners aren't the ones that leaked the video? Because
that whole thing's weird because it's a media member, right? Essentially.
No,
they said it was someone that worked with the video team. They said it was someone that worked with the video equipment team. Yeah,
so they actually worked for the team.
So the owners and Draymond have not been seeing eye to eye recently, even in the playoffs last year when he got suspended or kicked out of the game. He wants a max extension. They're not going to give him that. Jordan Poole's the future of the team. So they might be looking at that like, let's
drive the price down.
Throw this out there, drive the price down.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Now, look, there's also the details. Look, he works for the team, right, as a videographer or whatever, video content guy. It's also been talked about that he what did he get, like 250 G's from TMZ?
2.5 million.
Oh, he got that much?
2.5 million
for that could video. Obviously, that's a factor, right, guys? I mean,
at that point, you can fire me.
Probably no money.
For 2.5.
Yeah, no. I mean, think about it. If anybody in this, I mean, there's people in this town that would absolutely do that in a second if they worked for a team and you got $2.5 million from a media company.
I'm out
to release. Yeah, you'd be like, fire me. I don't care. I've got $2 million plus on the bank. So there's that too. So, but I understand what Quan's saying as far as maybe the team leaked it. I mean, it's do we have any really evidence that that's the case, though? I don't know. I think
you never know nowadays.
I think it'd be more of a factor that he got $2.5 million and he doesn't now care about his job with the Warriors, and so he just So
you heard it. It was like
video.
90, then it was 150,000, then it was 250,000. Now it's
2.5.
2.5. I mean, I feel like I need to walk around Vegas with my camera on.
Exactly, 100%, right? Have it ready to roll, baby. But
Mike Davis, MZ. No, I'm just kidding. But once again, Jose V, Straight Bet Sports. You're tuned in live here on the Guerrilla Crossing Radio Network. Chris Winn, Mike Davis in the studio with us. Our guy Jay Madrazo showed up. We're in the jersey. I got him from Mexico over here at the Pumas game. Quan 5'9" doing what he does for us every single week behind the big board. Now, guys, we got about 10 minutes left. I want to do a quick rapid fire. Just tell me who you like, and then we'll give our picks of the week. I know you like to dabble in it from time to time, Mike, and enjoy yourself on some football.
I got a couple.
So we're gonna take one celebrity pick from you. So far, our celebrity picks this week or this season are 2-0. Our guy Sosa, the locksmith, had one. He had the Bengals alternate spread -10.5 against the Jets. That covered. We had Paloma last week from Fox 5 News in the studio. She gave us the Cowboys. That was easy money. So our celebrity picks and our guest picks are 2-0 so far. So Mike, we're gonna get one from you here shortly, and I'm also gonna get one from Chris, and then we got one from Ian. So far, Ian is 1-3 on the year, or I'm sorry, was 1-3 on the year going into last week. He had the Lions +3. Obviously, we know what happened there. That was a loss, so he moves to 1-4. I was going to take the Falcons because they were the only undefeated ATS team, and they still are moving into last week, and I did not. I ended up taking the Ravens. We saw what happened there at the end. They disintegrated as they do in the second half all the time. They get a big lead, and they lose it -3. They ended up winning by 2, so they did not cover. So I fought a 2-3. So, guys, what are we looking at this week? Obviously, you know me. I look at money more than anything. I look at money movement, who's going where, who's doing what. But I'm going to let Chris go first. See if there's anything you like, anything you're looking at. Give me one pick of the week this week that you want to throw out there for everybody.
Absolutely. There's a marquee game going down in Philadelphia this week. The Eagles taking on the Cowboys.
You ready,
Cowboys are obviously, a team that just winning left and right with this redheaded kid from Lansing, Michigan at signal caller for Dallas, just holding fort until obviously Dak Prescott gets back. You got the big run last week from Tony Pollard, finally showed up for the Dallas Cowboys for that team. And offensively, they have pieces, obviously we know. They have CeeDee Lamb, they have others that can play there, but they're going into Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts playing basically like an MVP right now. Loving his connection with A.J. Brown there. They have kind of a revolving door of running backs there in Philadelphia. I am taking the Eagles to cover this 6 against the Cowboys in Philadelphia. That's the Winn pick of the week, which might be like, you might want to fade that given my record as of late. But hey,
so
we'll see.
Chris taking the Eagles -6, currently sitting at -6, overs under 42.5. All the money coming in on the Cowboys, 68% ATS, 63% money line, 61% of the overs coming in as well. Obviously, it's only Wednesday. A lot can happen from here till Thursday, but that's what Winn has. Mike, what's good, my guy? What you got? Who you riding with this week?
I'm taking the Vikings going to South. -3.
It's 3.5.
Do we even know who's playing quarterback for the Dolphins yet?
Skylar Thompson.
It is going to be Skylar?
Nice. Kansas State's finest.
Give us a little more, though. Why do you like the Vikings? Why are you taking the Vikings?
I think that Minnesota is trying to stretch their legs in the division. I mean, they can really put some separation if you think about it. Go to 5-1, knowing that when Tua does come back, Miami's a tough out. So show that you can travel. You can go to the warmth in Florida, get a win. Early game. Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins. I think all of them are poised for a big showcase in Miami.
I'm picking up what Coach Davis is putting down, Jose. Yeah. I was someone that's been on the Vikings all year long. I think the Vikings are winning that division. And
do you think the Vikings
are
the
best
team
in the NFC North? Yeah,
I don't think it's close.
Better than the Packers. You think you don't think the Packers are as close as they should be there?
I don't. I think the separation is way bigger than people think.
Okay,
I'd agree.
So you guys know, again, I'm a money's guy. I like to follow the money. I was actually speaking to a couple buddies of mine that I worked in the sports field with a few years ago. And they were telling me how they made out like bandits the other night when the Raiders covered that 7.5 because everybody and their mom was on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Including me.
So the books made out pretty good that day. So obviously, I don't always choose every game off the board that's a big money, obviously, because you're not going to hit every game. I know that. I do follow the stats, how teams are playing, this, that, and whatever it is, right? I'm looking at the Saints right now at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati has gotten better week in and week out. I get that, even though they're 2-3. But their offensive line still is atrocious. I still think that Joe Burrow is in a lot of trouble. I like what the Saints did last week against Seattle. Now, the question is, though, can Taysom Hill have that same type of production? Obviously, not the same numbers that he had last week. We know that. There's no way he's going to go.
Isn't Andy Dalton starting, though? I thought Andy Dalton was going to actually start.
I know. I'm not talking about who's starting quarterback.
Okay.
I'm saying, can Taysom Hill have that type of productivity again? I don't think so. But just from what I saw from this Saints team, right, on the defensive side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, special teams, and then they're being at home again, back-to-back weeks. And, of course, the money. Way too much money on Cincinnati. Again, it's only Wednesday. But when I'm looking at 87% of the money on the Bengals, 92% of the money line bets on the Bengals since Sunday night when this line came out after both teams had already played. The line opens up at -1.5. Goes all the way down to pick'em, yet moves all the way back to -1.5 with all of the money that throughout that whole time coming in on Cincinnati. How does it move to a pick'em? It makes no sense. Unless you had one big sharp major bet that came in on the opposite side to make it move, I don't see it. It makes no sense to me. Granted, this could be 50-50 by the time Sunday comes. Call me crazy. Give me the Saints plus the 2 at home this week against the Bengals. And call me crazy. I think they went outright. I'm not even going to take the 2, but that's my pick. Give me the plus 2, guys.
You need to look. What's the Bengals record after a road loss?
That I don't know.
And Joe
Now
Burrow,
you're gonna make me look at
hasn't
stuff.
been on his back as much as he was last year, has he? I mean,
First
and
couple
Jose
weeks of the season,
Jose
he was.
mentioned the offensive line not being, but I think he's been sacked a lot less this year, right?
Let's see.
So-
I'm gonna pull something up real quick because I know.
But since
Go for it.
I'm a college guy,
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I got an underdog for you.
Okay. Wait. Prime time home dog?
No PTHD. Nope.
Okay.
Oh no,
No PTHD today.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Iowa State plus the 16 at Texas.
Ooh. Iowa State plus the
Staying within the 2
Let's see.
touchdowns,
Let's
baby.
see. All right, yeah, we still got time to talk about that one. Let me see real quick. Iowa State.
Staying within the 2
Let me see where
touchdowns.
we're at on that one real quick. You say Iowa State. Okay. In the 16. Are they at home?
They're at Texas.
They're at Texas. What time is that game, Mike?
10
there
o'clock.
it is. I see it. So we got Texas 4-2, Iowa State 3-3. Texas is ranked 22nd. 16.5. We're looking at 49.5 is the total. Fairly even on the ATS, 46% on Iowa State, 54% on Texas. But 96% of the money line bets are coming in on Texas. That's a high money line. I mean, are these people doing parlays for 8, 9, 10 teams? I mean, like, that's
Yeah.
insane. But
Don't be surprised if it's an upset.
outright.
There's been some long dogs in college football this year that have
Matt
won football
Campbell
games.
is
Yeah.
notorious for going on the road and creating upsets.
So I got 2 upset questions for you guys, and then we'll end the show, and I'll go ahead and do our final thought here. USC is a dog this weekend, which is kind of crazy to me because I believe they're a 7.5-point dog going on the road to Utah. Then we have UNLV at home in a homecoming game after losing Doug Brumfield last week. I don't know if he's playing on Saturday or not. I haven't
It's
heard
still up
much
in the
from
air,
him.
I think.
Correct. 10. It was 10.
It's 10 now.
It's
Still
10
10.
now. 10-point dogs at home.
Way too many points.
Way too many points in my
Way too many
opinion.
points.
If I had to choose one, now I'm an SC guy. I follow UNLV obviously because I'm out here.
Right.
If I had to choose one of those 2 dogs, points, not to win, just points. Give me UNLV. I think UNLV at home. Again, though, if Doug plays, I'm not too high on Cam right now.
They're going to still run.
because Doug's been hot.
You know how many passes that Air Force completed in that game last year?
Probably 1.
0.
I'm not surprised.
They didn't throw. I mean,
That's all
I
they
think
do.
I don't think they attempted a pass.
And that's why I'm not
They
going to the
didn't
game
have
on
And they
Saturday.
still blew out UNLV.
And that's why I'm not going to the
But
game on Saturday. I cannot watch Air Force games. I'm sorry. The
It
first
is, Mike, it is not exciting.
The
I will
first-
say
It
that.
is though.
The
If you
the
watch
Air
it,
Force Falcons.
no,
it's not.
listen. If you watch it as the full 11, literally the blocking schemes and what they do to get out of those guys is fascinating.
The first UNLV football game I ever went to in my life when I moved to Vegas was at Sam Boyd, UNLV Air Force. I said, I will never in my life watch Air Force again in person. I don't care if it's in Lambeau Field, El Estadio Azteca in Mexico, in London at Wembley. I will not go watch this team because I swear, I had to get more alcohol while I was there just to have a good time because it was boring. It was, I get it, it's football. But that run option, bro, it's like, it's a snooze fest to watch that type of football. It works, but it's a snooze fest.
Air Force is
as a
going
fan.
to throw 3 passes this year. Watch.
Yeah.
3 passes.
Watch.
Mike and Jose, I can get on board with Jose saying though, as far as them covering, because I think Aiden Robinson's going to have is going to be a big part of the offensive game plan, given whoever the quarterback is for UNLV. So,
And not only that, Chris, no one was talking about this leading up until last week. UNLV was second in the country, in the nation, in turnover margin. That's UNLV, not the Mountain West. Not
The
just here in
academies
the-
don't turn it over.
I know, but what I'm saying is not going into this game. I'm talking
Discipline.
about in general and credit that we're getting because UNLV's defense was always something that we talked about for years. Oh, they can't get it together. They can't. They're looking a whole lot better now. So I think UNLV can cover that 10. Hopefully they can win. Hopefully the Trojans can cover and win out there at Utah as well. But guys, we come to the end. Let you
I'm
guys give
taking
away your
USC
final
just for the
thoughts.
record.
There we go.
Too many
Tell you,
athletes.
Money Mike. That's what we're gonna call him. But Mike, appreciate you, my man, coming in the
thanks for
studio,
having me.
bringing some swag for us as always, man.
Absolutely.
Great times. This ain't the last time we're gonna have you on. Let everyone know about the tryouts one more time and where they can find you on all things social media.
October 29th, Heritage Park. All things social media. Coach Mike Davis on Twitter. Nighthawks HC. Nighthawks HC on Twitter and Coach Mike Davis on Instagram and Facebook.
There we go.
Nice.
Mike D, what you got, my man?
At Christian Winn on Twitter, Christian W Winn on Facebook, and Chris C Winn 77 on Instagram. And Quan loves it. I know that. And fired up for this weekend, guys. Vegas Golden Knights opener. I'll be covering that tomorrow night against the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah. And then I will be covering the game also on Saturday. UNLV Air Force. I'll try to stay awake, Jose and Mike. I'll try to stay awake during
Just
that
know
game.
the text coming in late.
There we go. I got to give a big shout out to Jonathan Marshall. I took him over 2.5 shots on goal yesterday. Appreciate you, my guy. Good job. Cash that
Did you
ticket.
get that in the first period?
I think so. It was the first period. So appreciate that, my guy. Good ticket there. But Jay, real quick, is Messi going back to Barca? And is this the end of Mbappe and PSG?
No, I think Mbappe's just trying to get more of that contract, you know? So I think he's going to run out through his contract. And Messi, he's going to Argentina first.
You think he goes back to Argentina?
He's going back to Argentina.
See, if he goes back to Argentina, it's a wrap. So we'll see.
I got him. After he wins the World Cup this year.
You've been MIA though, my guy, but I appreciate you coming back in. We try to give you more mic time. You know that, but we're going to talk more football, especially soccer, because World Cup is right around the corner, my guy.
Next month.
But I appreciate you, though. We've come to the end of the show. I got my final thought, and I've been waiting to say this one all baseball season, because I knew I was going to be able to say it, and I get to say it now.
Why are you wearing a Dodgers hat?
Buck Showalter is the biggest fraud and fool's gold that there is in all of pro sports. For everyone, including our good friend from Heatwave Sports, Tom Barton, that was going crazy when they hired him. This is the guy. He's going to get them over the hump. They're going to win it all. What did Buck show all of you Major League Baseball fans this year? That my point has been proven. He is the Marty Schottenheimer of Major League Baseball. He looks good during the regular season, and when it matters, his teams crumble. The Mets should have been the best team in baseball this year. They should have had the best record in baseball this year. But when the second half of the season came around and it was all ready for them to get it done, they couldn't. The Braves quietly got their division back, and the Mets are now at home watching everyone else. Mets, enjoy your participation trophy, head coach, just like I tell the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. Till then, for Jose V, Chris Winn, Mike Davis, Jay Madrazos, and Quan59, we greatly appreciate each and every one of you.
That's like being a Yankees fan and wearing a Dodgers hat.
I'm from LA, and if you know me, I wear hats on the show all the
playoffs.
time. And if you go in my
Can't do
closet, thank you, Quan, I got like 100
Can't
hats.
do that. Yeah.
I'm a hat guy. I'm sorry.
It's the playoffs.
That's just what it is. But I got to do one more thing because I know Quan's going to put it up there anyways before I get in trouble. We do have a sponsor, our guy Eric Navarro, 702-884-8138. Line him up by Eric, our personal barber, always taking care of us. Hit him up at Line him up by Eric on IG. We greatly appreciate him and his sponsorship. But till next week, Ian will hopefully back in the studio. We are out.
From LA, but a Yankee fan.
From
Doesn't
LA
make any
Vegas.
sense.
From LA Vegas.
Makes no sense.